In this video, we're going to talk about sales tax and using sales tax within your transactions and also omitting sales tax from transactions with tax exempt numbers. So let's get started. Before we do any transactional work, we want to make sure that our sales tax default policies will be set up. So as an administrator, what we want to do is we want to go in here to our settings, and then we want to click on tax rate settings. And we click on this over here. We have two types of tax rate settings: taxes that will be used on sales as our default, which we can always override at the transaction. And then we have our tax rates that we'll be using when we're purchasing. Again, we can override at the transaction. What this means is that when we're creating a brand new customer account, which is the default setting that should be applied. In this case, we have it for the customer shipping zip code, and over here we have this one for the billing zip code for the vendor. You can change any of these at any particular time. These will be the defaults. If you do not want to use Mothernode's automatic tax settings, then just go ahead and disable the feature, and every time you create new transactions, this will be disabled 100%. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this back to what we had before. And just remember that when you make any default changes over here, you want to click Save over here, and they will be applied. All right, so very important. When I have a customer account, let's go over here. In the customer account, assuming I just set up this customer. So I click Edit in my customer account to get to my billing information. And in my billing information, you can see here that I have the default tax rates that also apply to this customer. So for this customer, if there's anything different, I can change the default policy on which zip code is going to be used to determine the tax. So if it needs to be the shipping instead of the billing, I can do that. If I want to put in a custom rate, that means that I'm not going to be using the standard rates that are uploaded monthly into Mothernode. I want to put in a custom rate. If I want to make it 0, I can do that. If I want to add something else, I can do that as well. And then if I want to disable the feature for this customer, I can do this too. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to use the billing zip code, and from the billing information over here, this is the zip code that's going to be applied down below for the tax rate. Okay, let's go ahead and make our first quote and see what we get. I'm going to click on Save. I'll close out of this window, and now I'm going to click on Create a brand new quote. We'll choose the default location in Dallas. Click OK. Alright, now when I scroll down below, we can see here that I have a tax rate of 8.25%. Perfect. So we're going to click Save right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add one line item. And so in this case here, I'm going to add a line item. We'll choose from our finished goods and inventory to expedite this. And we will grab one of these guys. So some important information about this. I grabbed an inventory item, and as you know, at the inventory level and the services level, you can determine what is going to be taxable and non-taxable. So in this case over here, I can see that this is going to be taxable, okay? And if I need to change this at all, I can click on Edit this item, and then I can choose it to be non-taxable. So this gives me more controls at the line item level, that even though the quote is supposed to be taxable, I can determine which of the line items shouldn't be taxable in this case. I'll put it back over here to taxable, and then we're going to click Save, and now we are good to go. You can see at the top of the transaction over here, I'm going to close these little alerts. I have my sales tax information, my product subtotal over here, and together I have a total which is going to be the $62.76. Okay, perfect. So this is great. Now if I go ahead and I make this product untaxable or non-taxable in this case, let's do this, non-taxable, you can see now that no tax is being charged over here. Okay, so that is not taxable. Alright, so let's go back over here and talk about a few more things. We are going to make this taxable again just for the sake of this. We'll click Save, and now I want to take you back to the header information here. This is extremely important. If anybody for any reason decides that they need to change the tax rate and they do so, then what's going to happen in this case here? Let's put it at 0.04. We'll do that. Wrong tax rate. And you'll notice that when I do this, and you scroll down below, it says check tax. I get a check tax warning because Mothernode is basically looking up that zip code tax that was originally there that is assigned as the default, and in this case it's realizing that there's a mistake. Okay, so when I'm in the read-only mode here, I can click on this and it's going to give me some potential matches for this zip code. Okay, so you're going to see here these are the two that it pulls up for the zip code, and it's basically saying it should be 8.25. Furthermore, when I click on edit, I still get the check tax, but what's nice in the edit mode, what I can do is I get the button that says use this rate, and I can correct that problem right there. Okay, so once I do that, I can click save, and then now this will be adjusted and fixed. Perfect. Let me click edit one more time over here. You get a couple of other tax options at the top here. You can see restore header. Okay, so if you made any adjustments to this and changed some things along the way, you can restore the header and it'll go back to the client's defaults, whatever their settings were. And then also the update tax. If I need to make any changes here, you see I still get those same options, but here's where I can go ahead and change their zip code. Okay, so let's just pretend this was different, or I can say disabled, or I can use a custom tax, etc. I have access to making those adjustments right there. Okay, so they'll be the same in this case, so I won't be making any adjustments there. All right. Also, when making a quote, what's extremely important to know is that sometimes you can be making a quote not from a customer account, but you can be making a quote from a new opportunity for an account that you don't have yet. In those specific instances, that's where the default tax policies that we had in the settings in the beginning will be applied for all new quotes that are made from leads or opportunities that don't have an existing customer account with them. Let's go back over here to now take a look at tax exempt policies in this case. So I'm going to look at this. I want to open this customer here, and I'm going to go back to the billing information. And now what we're going to do is in the billing tab, we're going to focus on this here, tax exempt number. So this is where you can put in the client's tax exempt number. Now we're going to take a look at this in a minute and how this looks when we print on a quote versus having a tax number as opposed to having a tax rate. As long as anything exists in this field, this will zero out the tax on the customer's transaction. Now, if you don't have this information here, you can also add it at the transaction level, just like you can override anything else at any level. But if I have this here, I'm going to put this on file. Now, I also have seen some people put in the words on file just to let the customer know that we have it on file, but you just want to make sure that you do have it on file before you start putting anything that's going to be tax exempt. So if you have customers who are going to be tax exempt, let's just say that we have this number that's going to be here for their tax exempt number. Okay. Now we're going to click save. You can see the policy still is to use the customer's billing zip code, which is going to be this. But once there's a tax exempt number in here, we'll click save. And then we create a brand new quote and we'll see what happens. All right. So we go down below. And we can see here that the tax rate is indicated to be 0. Why? Because we have a tax exempt number on file. As long as anything exists in this field here, this will always be 0. That means that the entire quote will always have 0 tax in this case, okay? So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go ahead, we're going to add another set of line items. Let's do this. We're going to make this faster, okay? So I'm going to load this up, one of my templates. All right, now you'll see that when I print this, I'll go ahead and just print a regular quote. And you'll see down below, instead of having sales tax, we'll see the tax exempt numbers here, which explains to the customer why the tax is 0, and we have a confirmation we have their tax exempt number on file right there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back over here to the quote. We'll go into the header over here. And then we're gonna go over here into editing this, and we'll get rid of that tax exempt number. Again, remember, I can put that in at any time, but as soon as I put that in, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and add that tax exempt number here. So I want to go back here and use my default zip code rate, which is going to be this. I'm putting in my 825 again. Let's click save. And now I'm going to go over here to print. We'll print this again, and you will see that the tax now has been restored with the 8.25, and we have our tax rate here, okay? So one last thing about the check tax warning, okay, the check tax warning, you will see that it carries all the way through orders, all the way to the invoice. So it's going to get caught at some point. Even in the Ready for Invoice screen over here, you can see that there's a bunch of inaccurate taxes that are going to be listed here, okay? So very important that you pay attention to that, because Mothernode is warning you that there is a tax problem with the tax rate that's being utilized. Alright, so that is how you utilize tax policies and taxes within Mothernode. For more videos like this one, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mothernode. Thank you for watching.